Welcome back to my second channel. Today we're ranking every Harry Potter film. Not doing Fantastic Beasts because I don't care about Fantastic Beasts. If you want me to do that for its own video, then I can. But I have a feeling that they're going to be kind of ass. So we're just sticking with the main 8 films today, and I'm going to be ranking them. I'm not going to be doing them as like adaptations. You know how some people like rank them to like as adaptations of the books. I don't really care about that. I've read like 6 of the books. I started the 7th and I was like, you know what, sack this off. This is shite. So, like I have a knowledge of like what the book brings, and I do think the books are overall better in general. But yeah, I'm not going to be ranking them as adaptations of books. I'm going to be ranking them as films in their own right. So, if you don't like it, good. I hope you suffer. I hope you really hate this ranking and that it's really bad for you and you can't bear to watch it. Anyway, as always, yeah, if you disagree heavily with my opinions, good. I hope you really get hurt by them. And if you agree with every single opinion in this video, then get your own. Stop stealing mine. With that out of the way, let's dive in with number 8. And that is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. This one's fucking boring. I don't care what anyone says. I saw a guy on YouTube once and he like ranked this as number 1. I don't get how you could do that. Fair enough. I mean, I don't really hate any of the films, but I think there's a clear like weakest 2. One of which is this one, and then the other one I'm going to talk about in a second. But yeah, part 1, not good. It's walking in the woods for like an hour, pretty much. It's just them in the woods, kind of just sitting around talking about how they can't do anything and they don't know where to go. And what really pisses me off is the fact that they chose to keep that shit in, and then they get rid of stuff like Dudley being like, oh, I don't think you're a waste of space, Harry, and then they shake hands. Like, that wholesome scene, that gets cut, but we have time for like an hour of walking. The fuck? There are some really great scenes, like the Gringotts scene, like them breaking in, that's great. Harry drowning to death and Ron coming back, that's brilliant, I like that. The wedding, I think that happens in this film, between Bill and Fleur, brilliant, I like it. But just, oh my god, so much fucking just boring shit in the woods. I really don't like this one. It's a chore for me, to be honest. In number 7 is Half-Blood Prince. Yep, too much bollocks with Lavender Brown, in my opinion. That whole thing, that really could have been minimised, in my opinion, and we could have focused far more on, like, Slughorn, the Horcruxes, more of Tom Riddle's backstory, Dumbledore, and that whole thing. Like, there's so much good in the book that really, like, is enjoyable. I mean, it isn't without its bad bits, of course, because the Lavender Brown thing still pisses me off, but on the whole, that book is solid. I realise now I am comparing them, but still, hit me out. Because as a film in its own right, the source material it's taking from, it took the wrong shit. So, I feel like that's a fair critique, even if I'm like reviewing it as a film in its own right and not being like, well, the book does this. Even though I am saying that the book does this. Yeah. Fuck it, I don't care. Yeah, if that like Lavender Brown thing was cut down massively, then I would have been okay with it. But, just, we're focusing on the wrong thing in this film. I think this is too much of like a teen drama and not like a, you know, magical Hogwarts thing. This feels like just the B plot kind of took over, and I don't like that. That said though, I still found it quite enjoyable overall. A lot of people say it's the worst. I understand why. I just think Deathly Hallows is fucking boring. So, yeah. In number 6 is Goblet of Fire. Yeah. Ugh. Again, too much teen drama. Can we just focus on the fucking world building and the magic, please? Like, I feel like there's a lot of, like, real, like, teenness to it. And that's fine. I realise that, like, you're trying to, like, make these characters believable and shit. And so, of course, they've got to have, like, strops and, like, fallings out and stuff. But it's just, it's so much just fucking drama. Ron's characterisation is fucking dreadful in this film. Dumbledore's performance isn't great either. We could have had so much more like fun world building with like these other magic schools. We could have had so much more in terms of Fleur and Victor being actual fucking characters and not just like pretty French lady and strong muscular Bulgarian man. Just I'm not here for it. It does have some great action scenes, like some of my favourite in the franchise, like comes from this film, and I do think the Triwizard Tournament is a decent plotline, but other than that, I'm just like so much angst, and it's like, stop, please, for my soul. In number 5 is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. I do think the Chris Columbus films were overall pretty good. This one's pretty good. I do think the performances are at their weakest here. Of course they're going to be, because they're like 10-year-old kids. It does feel like it moves at like a breakneck pace, in my opinion. Like suddenly it's October and it's like Halloween, and then we suddenly jump to Christmas and it's like it feels like we're going at such a fast pace, and it struggles to keep up almost. Maybe that's just the writing of how the actual book was. I can't remember at this point, but I feel like it could have done with slowing down a little bit. And I do think the actual like Philosopher's Stone bit of the narrative could have had more focus, and that could have helped with the pace almost, because it does just kind of feel like they suddenly realised that someone's after the stone, and then they suddenly realise it's Snape, and like everything moves too quick for almost the audience to process, in my opinion. Other than that, I have no real problem with this film. I think everything is at such a good level of quality in terms of like production design. All the visual effects a bit like dated, yeah, but like for the time I'm pretty sure it's pretty good. So, you know, there's that. It's a very good part of the franchise, I think, that first film, and I think it really sets the tone for everything moving forward and really clarifies a lot of what the world is about, and I think that is good. Can't wait for this hot take to piss everyone off. Number 4, Order of the Phoenix. It's alright. It's enjoyable. It's a perfectly solid film. I don't think it's the best. I don't think it's the worst. I think there's some like amazing action sequences. I think there's some real gut-wrenching moments in there. Some really good special effects. And some really good CGI, but I just think it's lacking anything in terms of like stylization. I think it's quite void of that, to be honest. But I do think the narrative very much saves it, because this is like the film where Voldemort gets back into power and everyone's like denying it, being like, no, he's not here. What are you talking about? He's dead. And there are some great additions, such as like Bellatrix Lestrange, Dolores Umbridge, one of the most hateable characters there is. Watching like a civil war break out in Hogwarts between like the Slytherins and the Gryffindor, amazing. Again, there's a lot to like. I just think it's a bit void of like anything interesting in terms of stylization. I think other films ahead do their stylization better, whereas this one's kind of like just a bit eh. Number 3 is Chamber of Secrets. I love the whodunit. I love the whodunit. I think this is one of the best whodunit plot lines ever pulled off, because you think that it might actually be Harry, and I think there's enough there, and there's enough of like time skips and jumps in the narrative to where you think that like, yeah, it could be Harry, because we don't actually see everything that this guy's going through. We only see the bits of the narrative that the crew want you to see, and I think that's really powerful. This is opposed to like Philosopher's Stone, which had like a time skip where it was just like jumping aimlessly for no reason. Lockhart is a great character. I think he's really unlikable. I think the fact that like all the girls like swooning over him, and then like there's just Harry and Ron there like, the fuck. Amazing. Tom Riddle's a great villain. I know it's technically like Voldemort still, but it's kind of not, because it's like a different actor and it's a different point in his history. It's like a memory of him come back to life. But yeah, that's amazing. This one definitely felt like it like got more to grips with structure as well. I think that is because like it had a lot less to introduce, so it could have just like, it could just go at its own pace, and it didn't have to like meet a quota of like, this is this, this is that, this is that one. Like, it didn't have to do that, like whereas the first film did, so it kind of had more freedom. And of course, the amount of Harold Trotter and the flesh-eating slug repellent lines that I referenced whilst watching this was like immense. So, you know, there's that as well. In number 2 is Deathly Hallows Part 2. I think this ends everything on such a perfect note. It really does feel like the finale in a great way. It's easily the most badass film in the franchise, and I think it ends everything with like a level of like satisfaction of what came before as well, and like respect for that. The one thing that I will say that kind of I really don't like about this film is the time jump at the end. It feels like we've jumped too far, and I feel like we should have jumped to maybe like when Harry and Ginny like got married and then like had their first kid, because then it would kind of like start off with and loop back around to like James and Lily and like baby Harry, and then we would have Harry and Ginny and baby Albus, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that cyclical thing, I feel like it misses out, and we end on the wrong point to make it fully satisfying. I do think all the correct characters were killed off. I don't think there was a wrong character to die here. I think everyone that is killed should have been killed. As I said, I think everything is just rounded off perfectly. Which, I mean, you don't really see that usually with like a franchise this big. Like, you never really see like a good round off of like the finale. But with this, I think it did it really well. So I'm happy to put it second. I think it was quite enjoyable. just as long as there's no bastard 34 years later scene. Like, that's not necessary. But of course, for number one for me, and I think for a lot of people as well, it is Prisoner of Azkaban. It's so aesthetic. It's got such an atmosphere about it. It's so powerful with it as well. And it really feels like the most horror-like Harry Potter film almost. The Marauders lore and all of that world building is brilliant. I don't think they do enough of it to point out that, like, you know, Wormtail, Padfoot, Prongs and Moony are, you know, James Potter, Peter Pettigrew, Sirius Black and Remus Lupin. That's never really actually addressed, and that's just kind of like a thing that happens when they get into, like, Goblet of Fire, and that's never really, like, brought up. But I feel like there's enough world building there with it to really enjoy it. And I love how it messes with time as well, and it's really careful with its, like, time plot. Or as careful as you can be with that, because obviously there's always going to be some sort of, like, hole that someone can find in it. The Dementors are great. I like the fact that Voldemort's not in it. It's a nice break from it, I think. And instead we get, like, Sirius, Lupin and, like, Peter Pettigrew. This is also the film that, weirdly, they all started just, like, dressing in normal clothes around Hogwarts, and I really don't like that. That's really uncomfortable and weird, and I don't appreciate that. They should have kept to robes, in my opinion. But everything just feels like really cohesive with this one, in a way that none of the others really do. Everything comes together quite well, in my opinion. I think everything is just brought together in such a cohesive manner that it makes it my favourite. So yeah, that was my list. Again, if you didn't like it, good. I hope you really suffer such a painful watching experience with this one. And if you did agree with every single placement on my list, then just, I don't know, get your own opinions, please. Thank you for watching, and be sure to let me know your list down below. Thank you, and goodbye.